Hello again everybody. So as promised in my previous video, I am making a video today about the modifications that I've made to the bike recently. I have got a whole playlist of modifications that I have done over the last couple of years. Things like the exhaust system, the bash plate, USB chargers in the top box and at the front there, loads of stuff like that. But this video is about all the things I've added since then, and just generally reasons for them, that kind of stuff. So we'll start off at the front. I've put a windscreen on. I should explain, I've basically done my bike up in a sort of mini touring spec. Yes, I know it's a single cylinder 125, not ideal for touring, yada yada, whatever, I don't care. I do a lot of long distance riding on this bike, and quite recently, last year, a good couple of months or so, I was making regular trips up to the airport, which was about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive there and then the same back again, in all weathers as well. So I have obviously done a few things to the bike to make myself a little bit more comfortable during those journeys. Obviously the first is the windscreen. Now this, interestingly enough, I've had several windscreens on this bike, a couple of Givi ones. This one is actually a cheap and cheerful eBay special, and funnily enough, I actually find that this does the best job out of every screen I've put on here. Now obviously do bear in mind that that's my personal experience based on my height, my riding style, my everything else. You know, your experience may differ, but for me personally this screen just does the job perfectly. I have put the extension on here. It's not so much for the extension. Interestingly, again, what I found was I got a lot of buffeting. It doesn't matter how high I put the windscreen or how low or whatever else, I got a lot of buffeting. So by putting this on, what happens, because you'll notice there's a gap here, what happens is you have the air coming over the top anyway, but then you also get air coming up and getting forced up here, which pushes that air that little bit higher, which it was just enough to chuck it clear over my head. And then again, on the subject of buffeting from the wind, I also had a problem of the wind coming under the windscreen and getting in under my helmet, and also cold knees, which is never good. So I have put these what are they, lowers on. They're actually from, I can't remember what bike they were from, might have been a Honda, one of the Honda Cruisers, I can't remember, but I've basically, I mean, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, it's a bit rough and ready. I did literally just use a U-clamp and bolt them on that way to the indicators, but honestly, they do a fantastic job. I mean, literally I sit behind this in a little cocoon and the wind just gets thrown around me, absolutely lovely. Now, looks wise, yeah, some people might hate it. I personally quite like it. I've certainly got used to it, so I don't really, you know, care either way, but yeah, I can see how some people might find that a bit weird to look at, but as I say, I like it now, and especially because I've added extra width to the back of the bike. These bikes are very narrow at the front and very fat at the back naturally anyway, so by adding these bits to the front, it kind of makes it look a bit more well balanced. Anyway, that's, as I say, it's just my opinion. It's not, you know, I'm not saying that everyone will agree. Certainly from the side, again, you'll see it's not too bad. So moving on to the next thing, the panniers. Now, I have got a video on these. My brother helped me to modify a pannier rack to go on this bike, because as many of you will know, you can't get a pannier rack for this bike. It is a Givi monolock system, so you know the panniers pop off and on using the Givi locks, all as standard, which is good. What I have done, because if you have seen the video where I introduced these panniers, I have actually moved them back. Originally they were a bit further forward, which meant that the passenger foot pegs were inaccessible, and yeah, basically it was a bit of a pain. So oh, and also I found getting on and off the bike, because they were further forward, I kept catching my foot on them and stuff, so I've moved them back now into a nicer position again. You know, you will notice that the actual mounting hardware is a little bit rough and ready. I need to sort of tidy it up a bit. I've basically just used bits of metal and stuff like that and bolted it onto the frame in places where it will go. I do intend to neaten this up at some point, but you know, until that point this is all perfectly stable. I mean, this is going nowhere. It can carry more weight than, I mean, the boxes are only rated for about 5 kilograms each anyway, but you know, it's solid as a rock. But I will eventually get all this gone and get it properly welded up again and everything else. As I say, when we first did it, my brother did weld it all up properly, but because I've extended it and things like that to put it in a more favourable position, it just needs reworking a little bit. But as I say, as far as being practical is concerned, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I'll get onto that in the future. Apart from that, the bike's not really changed all that much. The only other things I have done, and this is quite cool actually, I quite like this. Obviously I've got the heated grips. They've been on there since probably about the second week I owned the bike. But what I have also put in here is a heated seat pad. So this, you can see this switch here, it's got 2 settings, low and high, and that obviously controls the seat pad. I took the cover off the seat, put the pad in and everything, put it all back on. The only other thing to mention is, obviously I'm running a fair few accessories on this bike. I've got the heated grips, the heated seat, and the 2 USBs. I have not gone down the route of wiring it into the bike's system the way some people do. I know some people just attach stuff straight to the battery or try and splice into the existing wiring, all that kind of stuff. What I've actually done is create an entire auxiliary circuit system for the accessories. So they've got their own relay, their own fuse box, their own everything, which is all hidden in under there. I will at some point take it apart and show you guys what I've done as far as that's concerned. But yeah, it is running all off of its own system, so you know, there's no extra strain on the existing bike's wiring and all that kind of stuff. Just trying to think, there was something else as well. Oh yeah, so again, on the not putting too much strain on the bike's electrical system, I can't remember off the top of my head what the calculations were, but I calculated how much electricity or how much draw all of the accessories would have if they were all turned on full blast all at once. So that's heated grips full heated grips full blast, heated seat full blast, and both USB charging points being used all simultaneously. I worked that out, and then I basically worked out that if I replace my indicators and brake light with with LEDs, which is what I've done, they're just standard LED bulb replacements. They're not LEDs. They're not replacement units. The indicators and everything else are all standard equipment. I've just replaced the bulbs with LEDs, and that reduced the draw on the bike's electrical system by more than I was adding with the accessories. So that's how I've gone around that, because I know some people will be looking at all the stuff I've added to the bike and going, you've added all of that extra power draw to a 125, it can't cope with it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've taken that into account, and it works perfectly fine. I can have everything running, the engine doesn't cut out, it doesn't have any problems, and on cold miserable days I've got lovely warm hands and a lovely warm backside. So there you go. I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. As I say, this is just a quick video just to go over the extra things that I've done recently, and yeah, obviously in the future I'll crack it open and show you guys how I've routed the electrics and everything else, and where I've placed that secondary fuse box. So yeah, there you go guys. For now, that will be it. As I said in the previous video, I do intend to make more videos soon. Like I said, I've got about a month before my first child arrives, so obviously, you know, the schedule for video uploads and that will be as and when I can. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please do give it a like. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Go check out my other videos, and for now, I will catch you guys again soon.